Every year, in ancient Israel, a priest laid his hands on a goat. He spoke every sin the nation had committed that year. Then the goat was driven into the wilderness, alive, not to God, to someone else. The Bible names him Azazel. Scholars still argue over what that name even means. God strengthens. Fierce God. Or, the reading that should unsettle you most, entire removal. Because whatever Azazel was, Israel believed he could carry sin away like it belonged to him. This is a case file on one angel. Not Lucifer, not Michael, not Gabriel. Azazel doesn't get the sermons. He doesn't get the stained glass windows. But he shows up in a ritual so strange, so specific, that if you read it without context, you'd think it was written for a different religion entirely.
Let the darkness consume
Leviticus 16. The Day of Atonement. 2 goats stand before the priest. Identical. Lots are cast. One goat is marked for the Lord. The other is marked in the Hebrew text itself for Azazel, not for the wilderness, not for chance. For Azazel, a name, a recipient. So who was on the other end of that transaction? Before we go further into the file, if a name like this is new to you, you're exactly who this channel is for. Hit like right now so more of this reaches you. The Torah never explains who Azazel is. It just uses the name like everyone already knew. For that explanation, you have to go outside the accepted canon, to the book of Enoch. There, Azazel isn't a place. He's a person, a leader among the Watchers, angels who left their assigned post in heaven and came down to Mount Hermon. Enoch's charge against him is specific. Azazel didn't just fall. He taught metalworking, weapons, warfare, cosmetics and adornment used to seduce. Enoch's text says he made known the eternal secrets, knowledge that belonged in heaven, handed to a world not ready to survive it. And here's the detail that should stop you. In Enoch's account, when God finally judges the Watchers, one angel is singled out above the others for a unique sentence. Bound, alone, in darkness, in the desert, the same wilderness the scapegoat was driven into centuries later on the Day of Atonement. That's not a coincidence ancient readers missed. It's the entire point. 2 goats, 2 destinations. One goat's blood goes in. Atonement made with God. The other goat walks out, alive, carrying sin away, back to the one being already sentenced to that wilderness for corrupting the earth in the first place. It's not random cruelty. It's a courtroom. The sin Azazel's teaching helped unleash on humanity is symbolically returned to him. Israel isn't feeding a demon. They're closing a case, sending the evidence back to where the corruption started. This is exactly the kind of connection buried in Scripture that most people never get shown. One verse in Leviticus, one chapter in Enoch, centuries apart, describing the same sentence. If you're not subscribed yet, this is the channel that keeps finding threads like this. Subscribe now before we close this file. But here's what the file doesn't close cleanly. Enoch says Azazel is bound until judgment, not destroyed, not finished. Bound, the way evidence is sealed, not the way a case is closed. Which means the ritual Israel performed every year wasn't erasing Azazel's influence. It was managing it. Year after year, sending sin back to a source that Scripture says is still waiting for a final verdict that hasn't been read yet. Every place in the Bible where forbidden knowledge, violence, or corruption spreads faster than a generation can control it. Some readers of Enoch would tell you that's the same signature, still active, whether or not the name gets spoken. Here's what this case file actually leaves you with. Israel didn't ignore where corruption in the world came from. They built an entire yearly ritual around confronting it, naming it, and refusing to let it stay in the camp. That's the lesson underneath the strange goat, underneath the strange name. You don't deal with what's corrupting your life by pretending it isn't there. You name it, you face it, and you send it away, deliberately, on purpose, not by accident. The wilderness swallowed Azazel's goat every single year, and every single year, the camp walked back home clean. That's not a story about a monster in the desert. That's a story about what it costs and what it's worth to actually get free. What's one thing you've had to send away from your life to actually get free? Drop it in the comments. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next file.